Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd never sugarcoats it. Does he tell it straight? You bet. Does he deliver with a sense of humor? Always.
I always start my Sunday mornings off listening to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. It has tons of information, and he has such a great sense of humor.
My friends and I always tune in to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Hold on tight. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Marijuana Law Podcast. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting once again from the middle of the mitten in a beautiful green nutrient field, pure Michigan, baby. It's a little white depending upon where you live. In fact, it's white all over the mitten state right now. Craig Russell, the muscle in the mothership. How you doing, Craig?
Doing awesome. It's the first weekend of Tip Up Town in Houghton Lake, Michigan's winter festival, and the winter weather couldn't come at a more perfect time for that.
Yeah, and absolutely. And the opening of the show, by the way, Working Man Rush, one of my all-time top 10 favorite groups. I put them in the top 10, not top 5, just top 10.
Top 10, satisfying our Canadian content laws. You know, in
Canada. And that's for Biker Bob also. That was for Biker
right.
Bob who's coming on the show.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Biker Bob's going to be on the show in segment 2, 3, and probably 4, talking about all kinds of stuff. What's he going to be talking about?
Well, we're going to be, this is going to be a huge show. We're going to be talking about, as more states legalize the sale and use of marijuana, questions continue obviously to arise about whether drug testing protocols will change for DOT-regulated drivers, Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking to Biker Bob about DOT and how the federal government regulates those behind the wheel of those rigs that transport commerce from point A to point B so that you and I can sit here and enjoy a soda or put clothes on our back or whatever it is. So the over-the-road truckers, the men and women, and even the daily truckers that participate in commerce, just go, point A to point B during the day and then come back home. I don't think they get enough credit for what they do. They really don't.
Not even close.
No, and Biker Bob's one of my oldest friends. He's literally like my big brother, and I love having him on the show. He's been on before. We're also going to be talking about, you ready for this one? This is big.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You sitting down?
I am.
Here it comes.
Okay.
State laws on off-duty marijuana use. Which states have laws in place, Craig, that protect their employees from employers when the employee is using marijuana legally when they're not on the clock? So we're going to be talking about that as well. So state laws on off-duty marijuana use is something we're going to be talking with Biker Bob about right here in the mothership coming up on the show of all shows.
And we've also got more information about the 420 Canna Expo. That's coming up in April, literally 3 months from today.
Huge announcement on the upcoming 420 Canna Expo taking place at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, brought to you by 420 LLC. In addition to the 80 exhibitors and other individuals that will be there from every aspect of the cannabis industry, There's also, we're going to have speakers that are going to be participating. DJ Short is going to be one of the speakers. And if you don't know who DJ Short is, check out cannabakebox.com, cannabakebox.com. DJ Short is a well-known breeder of flavors and aromas. So we're stoked to have Canna Cake there, DJ Short. Also, one of my good friends, attorney Mike Comorn of Comorn Law. Mike is, in my opinion, in the top 3 medical marijuana criminal defense attorneys. He's also been involved in helping the regulations and the policies that have brought forth the laws that we now have in the state of Michigan. So Mike Comorn is also going to be speaking, and he is just a monster and huge in the industry as far as cannabis and regulations and representing individuals and corporations to get pre-approved licensed, and he defends the laws of the state of Michigan. He's a great lawyer. And finally, Craig,
yes,
we have from the University of Michigan a professor of pharmaceutical sciences, Dr. Rosania. Dr. Rosania, I had the benefit of hearing Dr. Rosania speak up in Northern Michigan University last year when I was emceeing the big cannabis symposium. So Dr. Rosania is going to be speaking, and he's professor of pharmaceutical sales. So check out 420cannaexpo.com if you're interested in attending. It's free to the public on 420 here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. There are plenty of exhibitor space available on the website and sponsorship opportunities, Craig. It's going to be huge.
Big.
It's free to the public.
Fantastic. And it is on 420, and today the radio show is playing on 120. So it's literally 3 months from today.
Absolutely. But Craig,
Yes,
and a huge show today, we have Biker Bob coming on the show. So we're stoked to have Biker Bob coming on the show.
So Todd, my question is, do you have anything to complain about this week? I know the answer to this already. You have to.
No, I don't have any complaint, more of 2 observations. So my first observation is, and I think you'll agree with me on this one, my first observation is about the blonde single lady who's on the Match.com commercial. She's been on for the past year or two. And I'm just wondering if she should try a different dating site because she's a nice looking lady. She's got blonde hair. She wears a hat on the commercial.
Yep.
And she's promoting Match.com. But apparently it's not working because she's still on a commercial seeking love. So that's my first observation about that one.
Well, my question...
Maybe she should try farmersonly.com or something.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't think she's a farmer. You see the background? She looks like she's like by the water. She claims she's into nice guys. She's not a game player, yet... She's on the Match.com commercial.
But she's been on for 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying, if I'm advising, a company, a dating site, I would change up the spokeswoman or spokesman, probably every week. I'm just saying. And so that's my first observation there about that.
That's a good one.
And my second observation is last week I was in the ditch heading down to Sterling Heights, Michigan. I had to go down to Van Dyke for something.
Okay.
And turn around and come right back up. And I was just famished. I was starving. I mean, my stomach was like, talking to me like, Todd, pull over, get a Taco Bell, get something to eat. And as I'm driving down the ditch, I call I-75 the ditch, the highway the ditch.
Sure.
I noticed a number of food trucks. And so there was a Coke truck, there was Doritos, there was Fritos. And I was just wondering, if you're a driver for one of these companies, do they give you... Like during the week as you're driving around, do they give you like a 12-pack or a 24-pack of Coke that if you're out and about, you can just pull the truck over and have a drink? Or if you're delivering Doritos to various retail stores, do they allow you a certain amount of product that you can eat? Because I wanted to pull one of those over at a rest stop and say, listen, I'm starving. Can I just have a Dorito and a Coke, please? There were 2 trucks side by side at the rest stop. You had a Doritos on one side. The Frito guy was pulling out. I mean, I just want to know if those companies, give their employees some leeway to eat some of the product, because how can you drive around all day with, all that product and not want to chow down?
Well, I happen to know a Pepsi driver who drives around northern Michigan and delivers Pepsi and everything. And he has actually brought me product before. So I believe that is probably exactly what it is. They probably have a couple of cases, maybe it's a 12-pack of cans, and the box popped open and a couple of cans went bad. Those other 10 cans are still good. They can't sell it though. So I'm sure they allow the drivers to keep that stuff. And my guess is if you would have had a couple of bucks on you, you probably could have bought some stuff from those truck drivers. I think
if there's a zombie apocalypse, I'm going after the Doritos. I'm just saying, I'm going after Doritos and Probably some Pepsi and some Coke beverages and Little Debbie's for sure.
Ooh.
And then I'm going after Lucky Charms, just the marshmallows, not the cereal, just the marshmallows.
You know,
but
they have a new cereal, new Lucky Charms cereal. It's called
marshmallows.
No, it's Frosted Flakes Lucky Charms. So it's Frosted Flakes and the Lucky Charms marshmallows.
I'm just going to go out and eat a bag of sugar. What's the difference? I mean, come on. Hey, Craig,
Todd.
big shout out, by the way. We have a huge show coming up.
Yes.
Biker Bob's coming on the show. In fact, we opened the show with Rush today, and that's for Biker Bob. He loves Rush, and he's a drummer, too. He's in a band. He's just a great drummer. But Barb P. listens to the show from Live Life Federal Credit Union. So big shout out to all the ladies, Elizabeth and Barb P., and Carla down at the Live Life Federal Credit Union in Sterling Heights, Michigan. They're off of Van Dyke, Craig Russell, the Morning Hustle.
Listening to us on Spotify or TuneIn or Apple iTunes or on YouTube, everywhere you can podcast the show worldwide. And everyone's going to get an opportunity to hear Biker Bob on the show next. What were we talking about Biker Bob about? What are we doing? We're going to
be talking about, I can't wait to have Biker on the show.
I know.
Biker's been my dear friend for, my entire existence here. We're going to be talking about, as states have legalized the sale and use of marijuana, there's a lot of questions that arise in regards to whether drug testing protocols will change now for the Department of Transportation in regards to regulating drivers. So if there's marijuana and it's legal in your state, does that mean if you're a trucker, are you allowed to use the drug recreational when you're off duty? So that's something we're going to answer. And we're also going to talk about state laws on off-duty marijuana use. It kind of goes hand in hand with the DOT thing, but there's a lot of states out there. If you're an employee, your employer can fire you. And there's been some cases that have just been decided, by the way, and one of the federal courts have ruled in favor of the employee who was applying for a job. And as soon as she disclosed that she was a medical marijuana card holder, they refused to give her the job. And she took that all the way up to the higher courts, and the federal judge ruled in her favor.
As they should have, because that's
a Connecticut case out of Connecticut.
That's the way the world is working these days. But
yep. So we got to go to break, right?
Yes, we do. But when we come back, Biker Bob will be on the show,
my brother. So take us out and bring us back with some Rush. Craig Russell. We'll be right back. This is attorney Todd L. Levitt with an important message.
What's that, Todd?
Craig, mark your calendar. April 20th, 2019, the nation's premier event for everything cannabis and hemp is descending on the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort located right here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
What's that, Todd?
420 Canna Expo will feature the industry's most knowledgeable professionals from cultivation, medical, recreational, research, staffing, canna tourism, smoke shops, grow shops, merchandisers, glass makers, and more. Every facet of the industry will be represented on April 20th, 2019 at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. For more information on attending, sponsorship, and exhibitor space, log on to 420cannaexpo.com. That's 420cannaexpo.com. And stay tuned to our podcast for more information. back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting from the Black Diamond Group mothership in the middle of the mitten in a beautiful green, legal, industrial field. We're both legal, and hemp is now industrial. So, hey, Craig, we have a huge guest on the show. You want to do the honors?
Biker Bob is on the show. Where are you at right now, Biker Bob?
Biker. I'm over here in Mount Clemens area now at a buddy's house. Yeah.
Got on, right on. Biker Bob, who has been a guest in this show many, many times and is very important in Todd's life. Todd, tell us a little about your story with Biker Bob.
Well, I'm in my 50s, and back when I was in my teens, coming from Berkeley, Michigan, Class 83 Berkeley Bears, I traveled to the far northern regions of the Mitten here in Michigan, and my truck broke down. It was driving a white Chevy Blazer. It's something not to break down. I think I locked my keys in or whatnot. I'm on a backcountry dirt road, and I was with somebody. I think I was on a date or whatnot. I was trying to find somebody's house. I was in the middle of nowhere, literally, and out of nowhere comes this huge man. I mean, he had tattoos and leather coat, and he had earrings, and I mean, he looked, right out of a Bruce Willis Die Hard movie. I mean, very, very intimidating. And it turned out he was sort of like he pulled the needle out of my foot. He was so kind and so generous and so willing to help us out. And he's been one of my closest friends ever since. And that's where he's my brother. I love him. The one thing I can say about Biker Bob as a friend, and this is a true friend, he will never let you down, and he will never turn you away. And he's your friend because he's your friend and doesn't ask for anything in return. And to me, he's been my big brother ever since.
That's not just a friend. That's not just a friend. That's family right there.
He's family, and his family's my family, and we've been like that for.
Well, I think of him as my brother, anyways.
Biker Bob is just he's been in the trucking industry. He's got so much knowledge. I turn to him for advice all the time on many topics that we talk about on the show. So we had to have you on, Biker. Back on.
Well, I'm glad to be on because I got a lot to say about what we've been talking about. A lot.
Yeah, especially.
I don't think one program is going to cover it all. But let's get started.
We'll give it a shot. Don't worry.
Let's give it a shot. Let's start with the DOT and the regulations of over the road and any truckers out there who have CDLs. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, it's just unfair. It's just unfair. I looked up discrimination the other day, and the truck drivers, male or female, truck drivers, period, are just totally being discriminated against in a lot of ways. The logic of it doesn't make sense to me. You have a person that's been driving a truck for 30 years, 34 years like I have, been through one side of the country to the other, up and down, but they're only regulated to their right lane. But you can put somebody that's been got in a car for a day, and a teenager, and let them get in a car and drive 80 miles an hour down the road. It makes no sense, no logic there. One vehicle is bigger than the other, and truck drivers don't stay in that left lane to aggravate people. They just do that just to get around them. But we're kind of like we have to. It's because we're in trucks. So to me, that's the type of a discrimination, as well as the marijuana laws that they've passed. Total discrimination against anyone that likes to participate in that. So in order to hold a CDL, we have to let our rights be taken away. We have to allow ourselves to be discriminated against something that we want to do while we're not working. And it's just crazy.
So Biker, what's the process? If you're a CDL holder, how often are you actually tested for any type of substance, legal or otherwise, in your system? Is it random? How does that work?
Well, it's random, yeah. You take your chance if you're doing anything, but it is random. They test you when you hire on. If you have an accident, they'll test you. Just because you had an accident, they'll test you just to see if you have anything in your system and blah, blah, blah. Even in an accident, if somebody else causes an accident, You had nothing to do with it, but they got hurt. The truck driver goes underneath the microscope and gets tested and all this, while the other person, they don't put him through the same scrutiny as they do a CDL holder, which I don't get it, because we supply everybody with a lot of what they use: food, clothes, gas, tires, parts, medicine, and that's vital to the industry. And they've changed the laws as far as the driving hours, and they force drivers to drive with this 14-hour rule that they have, and and it's just I don't know. I'm ready to get out of trucking, really. Yep. Seriously, because it's just not fair. Not fair at all.
The Department of Transportation has made its stance on this issue known multiple times, beginning back when, Colorado legalized recreational marijuana, and then Washington. And again, the answer is no. So if you're a trucker and you have a CDL and marijuana is legal in the state in which you reside, the question is, are you allowed to use the drug recreational when you're off duty? No, the Department of Transportation still says it's illegal under federal law, meaning all safety-sensitive employees who are subject to federally mandated drug testing are still prohibited from using marijuana. And that group of employees includes anyone who operates, as you said, biker commercial vehicles, including train engineers, pilots, and school bus drivers. Yet again, the hypocrisy is you can go to, a Christmas party, you can go to a holiday party, you can go to a birthday party, a wedding, and you can drink alcohol, and your employers and the government's not going to do anything to you. And by all means, we don't want anyone drinking and driving. But, when it comes to, as you're saying, biker, there's some federal discrimination going out there against the CDL holders for sure. I mean, obviously, we don't want anybody operating any machinery, whether they have a legal right to do something or not, if they're going to be impaired. And obviously, we have to police ourselves. But I know other truckers, CJ, yourself, other good friends of mine, and they're law-abiding citizens, and they cannot take CBDs for some of their ailments, and it's just not right, and it has to change. It has to change.
Right. Well, it stems from the reefer madness. It stems from all that, but it also stems from people who I believe that are in high political positions that know people that do that and still function responsibly, just like somebody who drinks alcohol. But they're afraid to say anything about it or stand up for people like that because it will tarnish their image, and they won't say nothing, and they will actually be the opposite of what they actually think. It makes no sense at all. And what a man does on his own time should be his own business. Now, as far as alcohol dissipates out of your system within 12 to 24 hours. And marijuana is different. It dissipates depending on your fat cells, the scientific, jarn. Well, it stays in your system longer, but you're not affected by it. Even though it's in your system, you're not affected by it the next day. And I firmly believe that if a man does it while he works, or he has it while he's working, then he should be prosecuted. He should have a CDL taken away. Honestly, you do it while you're at home or on your time off, responsibly. That's the whole thing, being responsible. And there are a lot of people who are responsible, and you got to hide it. Look, they have a shortage of drivers. How many drivers do you think? I haven't done no study or haven't researched it, but I'll be willing to bet there's a whole lot of drivers that have lost their truck driving jobs because they tested positive for THC. Be willing to bet you.
So that's brilliant. It's a brilliant statement, because employers, including trucking companies and other employers, they can't find enough people to fill these jobs because of the federal government still classifying marijuana under Schedule I of the Controlled Substance Act, and all the states that have laws against employees on the side of the employers. And there's a work shortage out there. So these laws need to change. And you would think the employers want these laws to change, but a lot of these employers, deal with the federal government. And again, it comes down to money. They're fearful of losing those contracts and, the insurance that backs their industry. Well, there's a lot of issues out there that has to change.
Well, here's what I'm saying. If I owned a business, okay, and I smoked weed, and I owned a business, and I come to work, and I'm running my business, and I see one of my employees is high or stoned, or if I catch him with weed, he don't have a job no more.
I agree with you, Biker Bob, 100%. And as you said earlier, though, we're talking about off-duty use. We're talking about off-duty legal use of cannabis and CBDs. And then the discrimination that the employees face once they apply for jobs, or they're CDL holders, or they're just going back to their employer and they're randomly drug tested. And the good news is there are states out there that are passing laws that are protecting employees from such employers who will fire you for off-use marijuana use. And when we come back from break, Biker Bob, we have a number of states we're going to talk about and go through some of the list of some of those states that have protections for their employees. So, Craig, take us out and bring us back with some working man from Rush. We'll see you in a minute. This is attorney Todd L. Levitt with an important message.
What's that, Todd?
Craig, mark your calendar. April 20th, 2019, the nation's premier event for everything cannabis and hemp is descending on the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort located right here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
What's that, Todd?
420 Canna Expo will feature the industry's most knowledgeable professionals from cultivation, medical, recreational, research, staffing, canna tourism, smoke shops, grow shops, merchandisers, glass makers, and more. Every facet of the industry will be represented on April 20th, 2019 at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. For more information on attending, sponsorship, and exhibitor space, log on to 420cannaexpo.com. That's 420cannaexpo.com. And stay tuned to our podcast for more information. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Coming back once again, the music picked out by my brother, Biker Bob, Rush. Love Rush. Rush reminds me of when I was like 14, growing up in Berkeley. Full disclosure there, I was no angel. But hey, if you're just tuning in for the first time, I am attorney Todd L. Levitt. We got Craig Russell, the Muscle, my co-host and everything producer of the show, and my lifelong brother, Biker Bob's in the mothership. Biker, so happy to have you in the mothership.
Good to be here, buddy. Good to be here.
And we were talking before the break about what, Craig?
Well, we were talking about employers' rights, not only truck drivers' rights and CDL rights for either using marijuana in off times, but also some of the issues that employers are dealing with this. And Biker Bob just happens to have his brother Tony there, who wanted to chime in with his 2 cents about this. Hey, Tony, welcome
to the show.
How you doing,
Tony? Tony, so happy to have you in the mothership. Welcome.
Good to be here. Thank you, guys.
So, Tony, you between the break, you were saying you're a business owner, and what is your opinion about all of this that we're talking about?
It's a very complicated subject. Being an owner, you have to really protect your investment, like we were talking about. It takes 30 years to build an empire and 2 minutes to lose it. You got the one wrong guy. I had an employee about 2 years ago. You couldn't tell, and come to find out, the guy was using meth on a 40-foot ladder. And what do you do to protect yourself as a business owner? You really, unfortunately, have to almost be biased towards people, and honestly, in our business, roofing, gutters, siding, you get pretty much the lower end of the barrel of these guys that don't know how to do anything, and they're just trying to learn and make money for their families, and most of them have a problem, and what are you going to do? I mean, they smoke weed after work. That's not my business, or drink or whatever. I had a guy that would drink 14, 15 beers a night and come to work every day on time, perform fantastic, not drink, not make any mistakes. And after that, he does what he does.
It's good to hear directly from Tony, a business owner such as yourself, to help the listeners develop opinions who may not have the understanding and insight that you and Biker and myself and Craig have. So,
yeah, I think it actually varies. Honestly, guys, I really believe it varies between businesses.
Depends on the person, too.
Is he dealing with customers? I deal with my customers. My guys perform the work. If it's customer base, if this guy sounds like he's stoned, or if he's just been smoking weed so long that he's just like completely stoned his whole life, you can't help it. You don't want that guy talking to your customers, reflects on you. I grew up with long hair and tattoos, and I had to tuck my hair up under my hat and go get a job and then come back and let my hair down. It was just a biased world. What are you going to do?
Yep. The good news is laws are changing. Now, unfortunately, the state of Michigan, there are no, as of today, and unless I'm wrong, I haven't checked, but as of today, employers are not required to accommodate marijuana use at the workplace or allow an employee to work under the influence of marijuana. We don't want any of that to begin with. But again, there are no laws that protect employees in the state of Michigan. Arizona is one of those states, though, guys, that does have protections in place. And I can go on and on and on. Ironically, Colorado needs to move forward somewhat because they don't have, employers are not required to accommodate their employees either. Connecticut, employers may not discriminate against applicants or employees based on their status as qualifying patients. There was a case recently out of Connecticut where a federal judge ruled in favor of an employee who was applying for a job and got denied because she disclosed that she was a card holder. So the states are sort of split on this 50-50, but more against than for at this point. But it's going to change.
Can I say something about the laws?
Yeah,
that they make concerning, marijuana and legalization, medical and all that stuff. I just don't understand, and it's like a trick bag. When the states will legalize it, say it's good, and then somebody comes and they invest all their money in a dispensary and all this, and then the federal government, who's the big brother, steps in and says, oh, no, you can't do that. I'm taking that away from you. You're losing and you're in trouble. Now, that don't make no sense to me. It's like a trick bag. And I'll put it in a scenario like this. That's like the federal government being the parent and the states being the children. And then you got one kid that tells the other sibling, oh, yeah, you can sell this and you can do this and it'll be okay. And then when that sibling starts doing it, and then the parent turns around and spanks them, scolds them, punishes them for doing that, and then the sibling's looking at and going, well, I was told I could do this. I was told it was okay with you, or it was okay. I was told it was okay. And now I'm getting in trouble. It's a trick bag. It makes no sense to me at all. If a state's going to legalize it, then the federal government should back the state.
Absolutely.
I don't get it.
It's the ongoing battle between state sovereignty and, as you said, the parent, the federal government. The federal law is a law of the land, and you have states that are exercising their right to be sovereign states, and to pass laws and protect its own citizens. And I feel that if a state wants to protect its citizens and allow citizens to do something, then the federal government should stay out of it. How is it that we live in Michigan and somebody in California who is in the House or Senate can oversee bills and laws that affect us here in Michigan, and because they're the federal government, they're the law of the land. They're not from Michigan. They don't know me. I'm not their constituency. And I mean, obviously, that's why we have 2 senators from each state and we have House of Representatives. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm 53 and nothing has ever changed. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they're out of touch.
Nothing's ever changed, guys. Tony and Biker, nothing's ever changed. Things are heading in the right direction though, but not fast enough for me. I mean, come on.
It's a state by state thing, I believe, and it's also case by case. I mean, it just gets so difficult for us business owners. I have friends watching right now, actually, and I got some business owners on here. My friend Roger. There's just things going on that we just can't control, and we got to watch. We got to really watch our asses as business owners.
Like you said, the minority leads rules the majority, like over there in Todd. You know what I'm saying? And it just, how are they getting away with it?
Here's a perfect example of the minority lead majority in the state of Michigan, where we just passed Prop 1, the Taxation of Marijuana Act, and in counties where the majority of the citizens voted for Prop 1, you still have 4 or 5 board members who are opting out of allowing citizens and businesses to come in and participate in a law that is now legal. So you have the majority of townships in the state of Michigan are still not allowing these legal businesses to participate in their towns and townships. And it's just absurd.
Yeah, they got Schumer and the Pelosi's in those places.
Yeah. Don't get me going on that.
Oh, here we go. No. We probably already talked too much politics on this show.
Yeah, right. It'll probably be edited out anyways. I figured I'd say
we'll take it. Yeah, right. We know they're listening, but here's another state, Ohio. In Ohio, employers are not required to accommodate employees either. And Oregon, let's see, medical marijuana employees are not required to accommodate out-of-work use of their employees also. So it's interesting.
I've been hearing that Ohio's been targeting Michigan plates because it's legal here, and they've been targeting them, searching. They're thinking that they're bringing weed down to Ohio. The same as Kansas with Colorado. When Colorado legalized it, Kansas was pulling all kinds of people out over coming from Colorado, had Colorado plates.
Absolutely.
The problem with Ohio is not people getting pulled over, it's Ohio State. Oh, ouch. Ooh, ouch.
We can go on and on about
what
blue, baby.
Yeah, but
boom blue.
Now this show is taking a definite turn.
Right.
No, we love Ohio. A lot of my boys are from Ohio. Who I have a mountain bike team. I talk about it week in and week out, and all my boys are from Ohio that are on my team, and they shred hard. Those boys from Ohio. We love Ohio.
Yeah. It's a good state.
All right, so when we come back, we will wrap up things with Biker Bob and also talk more about the 420 Canna Expo.
Great having Tony on the show. Tony, thanks for coming on the
Tony.
Thank
you for coming on.
You're welcome. Hey, guys, I got one request.
Okay.
I want to go out with Pantera, 5 minutes alone.
Let's come back from break with Pantera. You got it.
Man.
Love Pantera.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt with an important message.
What's that, Todd?
Craig, mark your calendar. April 20th, 2019, the nation's premier event for everything cannabis and hemp is descending on the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort located right here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
What's that, Todd?
420 Canna Expo will feature the industry's most knowledgeable professionals from cultivation, medical, recreational, research, staffing, canna tourism, smoke shops, grow shops, merchandisers, glass makers, and more. Every facet of the industry will be represented on April 20th, 2019 at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. For more information on attending, sponsorship, and exhibitor space, log on to 420cannaexpo.com. That's 420cannaexpo.com. And stay tuned to our podcast for more information. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Coming back strong with one of my top 10 all-time groups, Pantera. Love Pantera. That was for Tony, Biker Bob's brother there. So it was great having Tony on the show on the mothership. And he's a business owner and has so much insight and knowledge into what's taking place out there. So that's definitely helpful for the listeners, Craig.
Yeah, not between that and Biker Bob and some of the stuff that they were talking about. I know in some employers in Michigan have had to waive. They usually have, most places where you work, you have to take a drug test beforehand. A lot of employers are waiving that because they can't find enough available help. So they've got to be, you might take a drug test that looks for different kinds of drugs, but at least for marijuana, they're waiving that because they can't find enough people to work the jobs. And so it's, employers are having to do what they have to do, regardless of what the federal government and what the state government, and regardless of what some of the protections are one way or the other. A lot of employers are just having to take matters into their own hands, kind of like what Tony was saying. Tony's like, look, you can't do it on the job, but whatever you do on your own time is your own time. As long as you come to work and you do your job and you don't cause me any problems, and you don't risk me losing my business, then I'm cool with whatever you do at your own leisure.
We're sovereign individuals, and when we're not working and we're at home and we're in our castles or whatever we're doing, I'm just speaking for myself. I just want to be left alone. I want to be able to.
I'm just thinking.
Be left alone.
I'm just wondering what's going through their heads. Are they picturing us as wringing our hands and sitting in a corner and and drooling or something after we smoked a joint? I mean, it makes no sense, and that's not how it is at all.
We started off talking about CDL holders and the Department of Transportation regulating over-the-road truckers, right, Biker?
Yeah, and, it's just unfair, totally unfair. What a man does on his own time, as long as he doesn't carry it to work, as long as it doesn't affect his job, he should be able to do what he wants on his own time. And the truck, totally different story. Totally different.
How many people get off work and go have a beer or have a glass of wine or some bourbon? Yeah. I like whiskey. I like bourbon. I've been trying to get my hands on some Pappy Van Winkle here for quite some time for my cousin AZ. He collects, that stuff. So he's got some good Wellers. But Pappy's just hard to come by. But my point is, and I've been talking about this week in and week out, there's such a hypocrisy. Employers can take you out for, a party and have a drink at lunch, and then you go back and you're working for them. But, there's just such a hypocrisy in alcohol compared to cannabis. There's still a pretty big divide there.
And in half the country, cannabis is legal. So we're not even talking about you doing something on your own time that's an illegal activity. You're doing something that is legal in the places that you're in, and you are legally allowed to do it, and yet it still ends up being an issue.
It's in your system for 30 days, okay? Depending on how much you smoke. It's in your system for 30 days. Say, for instance, a man smokes a joint, 2 joints every day. It's in his system for 30 days. The next day, say he smokes 2 joints on a Monday. Tuesday, he wakes up, he's straight. He's not affected by the THC that's in his system.
I got a question for you. You're so right about that. What about Department of Transportation CDL holders in regards to other types of prescribed medication? If I go to the doctor and he prescribes some kind of pain meds for me,
you can't. There's certain ones that you can't have.
Okay, so you can't.
Even though they're prescribed, nope, you cannot. It's, for instance, hydrocortisone. You cannot have hydrocortisone in your system and be tested. Say, for instance, you get in an accident out there on the road, not being your fault, but you still get in an accident. You get drug tested. The hydrocortisones or something, I think like an opiate like that has been prescribed for you is in your system, you're in trouble, regardless if it's been legally prescribed or not. Now, if you're affected by it, if you're all googly and you decide to drive that vehicle and you cause that accident, then that's all on that driver. If he gets out of that truck and he's all staggering and stuff because of that medication, that's his fault. That's being irresponsible. And there's people that are responsible and don't like to drink. Period. But it's just not fair.
I mean, again, we don't want anyone out there doing anything legally that's going to impair their ability to, as Tony said, to function on the job. As he said brilliantly, it takes 30 years to build an empire and only 1 second to bring it all crumbling down. And we don't want to. And again, I won't. If somebody comes in my office and they're intoxicated and they're coming to me for to restore their driving privileges, I'm not going to take their case. Why? First of all, they have to be sober to begin with, and there's certain statutory requirements they have to meet for the state. But why am I going to put somebody back on the road that I feel is going to kill or harm somebody?
Right.
And I don't want any of my employees coming to work intoxicated, whether they have a legal right to do something on their own time or not.
It's called being responsible.
Yeah, we're all in agreement. We're all in agreement on these issues here, and definitely. And Biker, you drove 18-wheelers for how many years all across the country?
For about 18, 19 years.
You used to send me some beautiful pictures. I remember all those pictures from out west you would send us. Those were great.
Yeah, I kind of miss it because when the cold weather came here, I went to the West Coast. Yeah, I got out of it. I was in Arizona or Nevada or California.
I remember those pictures. You sent me some beautiful pictures.
Oh, man. And pictures don't do them justice. You got to see them yourself.
Todd, I hate to break...
Craig. Don't say it, Craig.
Todd, I hate to break the news to you. We got to go.
Come on, Craig. I thought we got 24 hours, 7 days a week right here in the mothership. Turning it in.
Not enough time.
Never enough time. Biker Bob, thank you for coming on the show.
Brother Tony, Biker Bob.
You're welcome, Craig Russell.
It was fun. Thank you.
Brother Todd.
Informative.
Yeah, very informative, and enjoy it every time I'm on.
Yep, well, you'll be on again, Biker, and I love you, bro. Always say hi to everyone, your brothers and the family. And
you can invite Tony on since he's a business owner and you're looking for insight. You can invite him on your show, too.
Absolutely.
Tony was great. Thank you guys for being on. We appreciate it a whole lot.
Not a problem.
Craig? Have a great night.
Craig, is that it?
That is it, Todd. We got to go.
Craig, I'm not just a litigator. I think we're going to leave with some Rush, Working Man, for my brother, Biker Bob. We'll see you same time next week. I'm not just a litigator. I'm an advocator. Take us out.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Mallywell Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, Clear Vision Windows, Siding, Roofing, and Attic Installation of Midland, Mackinac Properties and Northern Michigan Vacation Rentals, buying, selling, and renting properties in the Straits of Mackinac region since 1998, Tim's Collision Plus in Roscommon, Harrison Power Sports, Central Michigan's fastest growing full-line Arctic Cat dealer, and Dr. Robert Townsend and Denali Healthcare for your alternative healthcare needs.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.